everybody, this is Rose of Sharon, and I'm back again with another movie review. I just recently saw Rings, which is actually a reboot of The Ring 1 and 2. I've seen the original. I really like the original, but the Americanized versions are just as good and just as terrifying, although the Japanese version is far more terrifying than the American one. But I really like this modern day retelling of it because it's extremely well written, it's very suspenseful, and it's genuinely petrifying. And it gives a whole new dimension, quite literally, to the reign that Samara has in the perpetuation of the curse. And it sticks to the roots of what really happened to Samara, and yeah, it's actually very twisted about how she ends up buried in the walls, but I really liked it. As far as suspense movies go, I would put this on my top, and I give it 2 thumbs way up. No contesting, no vetching, no nagging, nothing. 5 stars. Just because I was on the edge of my seat. I was certainly frightened. And there was one scene in particular that exemplified a fear that I actually have. And I don't enjoy talking about it too much. But let me just put it this way. When Poe wrote The Mask of the Red Death and I read it, I didn't even know I had that fear until I read about that particular tale, and I thought, oh wait, no, it wasn't, not The Mask of the Red Death, but The Cask of Amontillado. Yeah, it's The Cask of Amontillado. That was the one. Anyways, still, that fear, I think a lot of people possess it, but they don't like admitting to it. But another hint on that particular fear is that's the reason that we have wakes nowadays. Needless to say, this is absolutely phenomenal. It's stellar. It is nothing short of absolutely thrilling in every sense of the word. I really like the fact that they include Johnny Galecki, because he usually plays the role of a character that has a lot of apathy. Later on, he just gives up because this is one conundrum that he cannot solve, even though he's brilliant. And he actually says something very meaningful in the gist of the film. He states that even in education, no 2 theories are alike. And theories are up to conjecture, and they're all different. So he has a good point there, even though it's very profound. And his character actually reminded me of a prof that I had in college who was an anthropology professor. However, he wanted to go into forensic dentistry, which I think he should have done because that was his passion, and he would have been an expert at it, but it wasn't in the cards for him, which I thought was very sad. But I'm glad he didn't do it, because had he gone into forensic dentistry, I never would have gotten the passion for anthropology that I do now. He made me appreciate musical anthropology, cultural anthropology, and anthropology in general. That's what Johnny's character did, and unfortunately something really terrible happens to him. Well, you figured out that he's going to come to that, but it's absolutely terrifying. And Samara, the way they end it with her, it's really creepy. I mean, it's really creepy. And I'm kind of wondering if they would do a sequel to it, just because they leave it wide open for one, and it has a lot of potentiality to do so. So I'm curious as to if they would do it or not, because I like the cast that was involved in this. And though I didn't really know anybody, I just knew Galecki, and I've never really seen Galecki in a horror film, so I think that Galecki did a bang-up job, and he deserves props for what he did, and he really built the suspense quite well. The only other film I've seen him in that was a drama, I think it was Reign Over Me. I don't know, maybe he wasn't in Reign Over Me. But he was in another film. I can't remember what it was, but he played a character that was another professor type, and he often gets pigeonholed into this. But this movie brings forth a really excellent point, and it's doing things in the name of God. And I know that's a very controversial topic, but that's why Christianity has such a bad name. And it's not because of that, but it's due to people who misinterpret, and they're more dogmatic than anything. They go by, well, this is what I believe that the interpretation of this particular scripture would be. Who went and made you a scholar is my question. Even I myself, I don't really understand a lot of the more cryptic Gospels, but nothing should ever, if it's violent, it should never be done in the name of God, because God, I feel, is a very compassionate being, and maybe I'm wrong in that belief, but that's just where I stand, and that's my faith, and I'm sticking to it. But this definitely brings that very controversial subject to mind, and it's really food for thought, especially for people who may be a little bit more strict in living by the guidelines that they feel are correct, and, oh, this is the only way. I beg to differ, but there are many pathways, and so long as you try to live the good and right way, according to what you know is good or bad, everybody's conscience is aware of that. And especially with this particular character, the antagonist in the film, you think, oh no, I hate you so much, you sadistic bastard. I mean, you loathe every fiber of him. He is just a dumpster heap of a human being, and he's nothing more than trash. He is a pitiful excuse for a man, and he's overzealous and just holier than thou, and he feels like he's adhering to the almighty word, which he really isn't. He's just completely insane. But I like that. I like the fact that they made somebody that you wouldn't think would be a villain into a villain. It was a twist. I had a feeling at first. I just thought, when I saw there was a certain tell, it was a clue, and I thought, I saw it coming. I had a feeling, and I thought, no. Of course, I'm yelling at my screen. Normally, I don't do that. But beyond that, if you're like me and you love the original series, the Japanese, and then the American, and then the reboot is fantastic. According to me, it's fantastic. And it lends itself to a sequel, although I haven't really read anything about a particular sequel, unfortunately. But that's all I gotta say. Till next time, live long, prosper. Ciao, tutti.